Hello there, and welcome to Healing the World Together. This is Victoria Dioh. I have an incredible guest with me today. Now, this is someone who I have admired over the last 5 years. She is so diligent at what she does. Her history is she used to be in the music industry. We know what that looks like. 10 years there, and she experienced severe burnout, an unhealthy lifestyle, and a 20-year eating disorder. And what really brought her back to herself was discovering pranic healing and having her life completely change. She's a mom of three, but most importantly, she's just an incredible human being, and I really, really want you to meet her. Hello, Tara.
Hi, Victoria. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're
What an
welcome.
intro.
Oh, well, do you know what though? It's like I'm gonna say this. I only invite amazing human beings on here, people who I've admired or have been doing some incredible things in the world. And I believe that you're one of those people. I see you every time I come into a pranic healing session or class. You're always there, always present, ever helpful, fountain of knowledge. I've watched you present. It is incredible. And also coming from a history of being in the music industry, I know that's not easy because the contrast is huge. So I want to ask you, what was life like in the music industry?
Life was crazy. Yeah, life was crazy. I look back and I think, God, I wish I'd enjoyed it more. I mean, there were elements that I really enjoyed, but I do look back and I think, God, it was an incredible opportunity. I traveled all over the world. I rubbed shoulders with some, celebrities, some interesting people, and I, went to some amazing events. So yeah, it was an incredible ride.
Mm,
Um, but at the time, I was so stressed out a lot of the time managing the business that I think I sort of forgot to enjoy it. So, I look back fondly, you look back at rose tinted, but I remember being, fairly stressed and anxious a lot of the time whilst running
mm,
that business. And at the time, and also within that genre of music, it was electronic dance music, and I was managing DJs. That's what I was doing. There weren't that many women. I had to deal with lots of different promoters from around the world, and it was quite tough. You had to be pretty, hardcore to
yeah.
cope with it. And I'm a strong woman, and I've always been able to hold my own, but I've also got that feminine sensitive
Yeah.
side. So, it was challenging at times. It
See,
was challenging.
it's making me think of all these other questions that I want to ask you. So I think the first question I'm going to ask is, at what point in a space like that, because it takes a lot of awareness to realize that you were stressed, but at what point did you realize that you were stressed? Because it's very easy to be in a space like that and be completely seduced by everything else that's going on around you to ignore the stress and the burnout.
I mean, I ran the business for over 10 years.
Mm,
I said to everyone, I started the business in 98 or 99,
right.
and I said to my closest friends, so prior to setting up the business, I'd been an assistant to a very big DJ who became my business partner. Now,
Right.
when I was his assistant, I was in my mid-20s and I was single and I was traveling around and it was just a complete blast. There was
Mm,
no real stress or pressure. But at the time, he was unhappy with his management, and I said, "Well, I can do it. I'll be your agent. We'll set up a business." And so we ended up setting up this business together. And he's an incredible DJ and a very good friend of mine still to this day. And we set up this business, and for the first few years, we had a small roster of artists, and we were enjoying it, and I was enjoying it. And then the small roster of three or four somehow magnified to 25, 26 acts, and we had a team. And I think so. I suppose sort of 5 years in, when the business was, changed from this sort of small cottage industry to this sort of slightly bigger beast, I remember thinking, this is quite stressful now, and I'm kind of on call 24/7, and I'm managing, these artists, and some of them were fantastic, others were more challenging, and then I had a couple of kids, and so I had that going on. So I had my two daughters whilst I was still running the business. and I was traveling a lot. And I remember actually being at a party in Amsterdam, and we had a big boat party. It was Amsterdam dance event, this music conference. And I remember it being at sort of 5 in the morning on a boat. The place was going off, everyone was enjoying it, and I had a baby at home, my second daughter. And I just remember looking around thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing
Mm,
here? This I can't, this is not where I want to be, and I want to be at home, and I'm too, so that was a sort of tipping point. So I can't remember the date of it,
no.
but I
Mm.
think I'd been managing sort of my stress levels for a long time whilst having that responsibility of managing a business.
Yeah, it's really funny, isn't it? It's like I'm one of those people that I'll be in a party or in a public place, and I'm very sociable. And if I'm trying to figure something out, even without realizing that I'm trying to figure it out, there's always that moment where you just stop and you're almost like on your own in this massive space of people, and you get this enlightened moment of this isn't for you, or that isn't for you, or whatever it is, and it ends up being that pivotal moment in your life.
Yeah.
So I completely get that. Now, before I go into the depth of conversation, I want to touch on the fact that you said you're a strong woman, but also you're very present in your feminine. You have no idea how many women, probably including myself, struggle with that. Like it's not something that comes naturally. I've had to train myself to be in my feminine because my natural space is being survival and that is in my masculine. How do you manage to get, I hate to say balance, but how have you figured that out, should I say?
I think the more you work on yourself and you accept yourself and you're happy
Mm,
but
mm,
all of yourself, the positives and the what things you have to work on, I think it comes naturally. I
yeah.
think that you're not fighting, you're not like traveling upstream, you're just going with who you truly are rather than trying to be someone else. I think ultimately it's about being comfortable in your own skin. And that is a
Mm,
big thing that with the work and with pranic healing and all the techniques that, we share and we encourage people to do. I think that's one of the main um priceless teachings is just to relax and be comfortable and give yourself a bit of acknowledgement and self-love and know that no one's perfect and that's okay. So the more the more you're you, the more that masculine and feminine, you don't have to think about it. You're just you. You're just who you are.
I love that. And it's very true, because when I think of the women that, and there's a lot of women that do pranic healing, you find that they just are softening in their space. The more work they do, the more teachings that they absorb and everything else. So thanks for explaining that. And yes, you need to know who you are. So tell us, how did you get into pranic healing?
So I was burning out. I mean, I was always interested in self-development. I was always interested in, healing myself of various
Mm,
different things. Um, And I tried loads of different things up until, the point where I was really struggling and really burning out. Nothing really stuck. Um, I trained in reflexology, I trained in massage whilst I was running the business. So I was always interested in complementary healthcare and self-development. Anyway, at sort of the end of the time where with running the agency, my business, I was in such a state, and my best friend, or one of my best friends, Catherine, said to me, you should go and see this guy called Les Flitcroft." And I was like, "Really? What does it mean? What does Les do?" And she said, "Well, he's really helped my family. He's helped my mum. He's helped my son. He's helped me.
mm,
He works with energy. He doesn't even touch you, but maybe give it a go." And at the time I was fairly open-minded, but I wasn't that open-minded, and I thought, this sounds a bit odd. It doesn't even
yeah,
touch you. But I
yeah.
trusted her. I really trusted her implicitly, and she's still a very close person in my life. And I thought, well, what have I got to lose? I'll go along, I'll see him. And so I got introduced to Les through my friend Catherine.
Oh. And how has that journey been for you? Because now something that we didn't mention at the beginning is that you're actually an instructor, and that's not something that everybody is. It's a huge feat to be chosen to be an instructor. But how has that impacted your life moving forward?
Being an instructor or
Well, being in pranic healing.
pranic healing? Well, I never thought I would ever be doing this for a living, Victoria. I never thought I would be a therapist. I never thought I'd be an instructor. I went to see Les. I spoke to him about my stress. That was the main thing, my stress, my burnout. I was feeling at times I didn't want to get out of bed. I was, still running the business at the time. And anyway, you go and see him, and then obviously the full list comes out. And one of the big things that you mentioned was, an eating disorder that I'd struggled with for, since my early teens.
Mm.
And, it was always in the background. I kind of had it under control, but I never thought it would go completely. So I spoke to Les about this, not thinking anything that he could do anything for that. And anyway, after I think it was only 3 or 4 sessions I had with him, the eating disorder went. It completely went. And that was absolutely mind blowing for me. I mean, I can't even tell you. It almost makes me emotional talking about it now because it really, really did change my entire world. So when that happened, and that was, 2010. So, a long time ago, no repercussions at all. I can't even imagine doing the things that I was
Mm.
doing. So that blew my mind. And then my father at the time was suffering from physical problems. So he had heart condition, he had high blood pressure, he had big dizzy spells. He was always a fit man, but at that time of his life, he couldn't even walk, 50 yards without it keeling over. So he wasn't in a good way, had 3 lots of heart surgery. So I said, go and see dad, go and see Les, again. He thought, oh my God, my daughter's lost the plot, it's another one of her fads, and I said, well, just go and see him. You've got nothing to lose.
Mm.
And sure enough, Les sorted my dad out. My dad's now 82, 83.
Wow.
Still runs a business. He's this very, very fit man and living a very, very good life. So with those two things in my personal life, Les said, go and do the 2-day course. It's not for everyone who wants to become a therapist, but you'll get lots out of it. You'll be able to help your family. So I went along and did the 2-day course, the level 1 course, which I now teach. And that blew my mind. And then I started using it and I was getting all these results. And anyway, long story short, the more you use the techniques, the more you get the results, the more you're drawn to it. And I ended up, had the opportunity to sell my business. So I sold the business and started to be a therapist, a pranic healing therapist. And then one day, Les said, would you like to be an instructor? And I thought, me? Are you sure you're the right person? But it was a huge honor. And of course, I had to accept, and I haven't looked back. So I've been, I feel very honored, very humbled to share the teachings and be able to help people in that way.
Love it. I love it. Now, as a mum of two and a wife,
Three, actually.
three, sorry, three, and a wife, you're obviously seeing how pranic healing helps your children, especially. And I know that sometimes you share how you just get the energy up in the morning. And I'd love for you to talk on what it's like being a mum who's a pranic healer and children, because I don't think a lot of parents realize how much we can help their children,
Yeah.
and how we can almost reduce the pain and the angst that children go through. Do you want to just lean into what it's like being a mum and a pranic healer?
Well, first of all, I don't know how mums do it without being a pranic healer because it's a full-on job. I've got 3 girls, 21, 17, and 11.
Wow,
All gorgeous girls, but
beautiful.
there's always something going on.
All
There's
look
all
like you, can I
and
just
and
say?
and obviously the husband as well, my lovely husband. So, it is like having first aid at your fingertips. It really is. I mean, about a couple of weeks ago, my youngest was she woke up, she had a tummy ache. I was teaching that day, not ideal. I was thinking, God, she can't go, she has to go to school. And anyway, so she, without getting too graphic, she went to the she went to the bathroom. I was outside the bathroom doing the loose bowels technique on her, which you can do distantly. And within the space of 5 minutes, she came out. How are you feeling? Yeah, I feel all right now, Mummy. The pain's gone. How do you need the look? No, fine. Anyway, within half an hour, she was up, she was eating, she was at school and I was at work and I was teaching. So, just quick things like that are incredible. I've got a daughter at university. Again, there's stresses there, but
Mm,
what's so wonderful is you can learn distant healing, remote healing. So she's up in Manchester, but I can still do treatment on her
mm,
from the house. So if she's got a bit of anxiety or what have you, I can help her. So it's it really I do. encourage people to learn it. We always say, not everyone wants to be a therapist or a healer, but everyone needs healing in their life, whether that's themselves or their families. And that's the whole aim, is to try and get, the mission of the teacher, Master Cho Kok Sui, the founder, was to get a pranic healer in every household to
Yeah.
alleviate suffering, to have these tools to help yourself and help your family. So yeah, it's priceless. It really is fantastic. And
Yeah. I mean, and as you're speaking, I also think of like my mum. My mum's 80 and she lives in Africa. And normally at that age, you'd be worrying about them and being on the phone all the time and just checking on them. I just do the healings. Anytime she's not feeling great, I heal it. She looks so young. She's vibrant and active, and she does all those things because of pranic healing. And yes, whilst pranic healing, thanks Master Choy, allows us to get people to feeling a better health, the worry that it saves you
mm,
is priceless. Like, you being a mom, daughter over in Manchester, you don't have to worry about your daughter in Manchester. Like literally, you do the healing and it's done, which means you can focus more on your job and focus on the rest of the family as well.
yeah, I mean, it's so empowering to be able to do something.
Mm,
It's not a magic wand, Victoria, because some
no.
people think, oh, it's the answer to everything, but it's something practical, and it's something that you can apply, and something so empowering so you can help. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean to say, your life's going to be completely straightforward, but it
Mm,
means that if there's an issue or a problem, there's a method or a technique to help remove that problem, or at least alleviate the suffering of that issue. Which as a parent, or as a daughter, I've got parents still around. And again, my dad, he was always a believer after Les, and now he's constantly, how you doing, Dad? Oh, I've got this ache or pain, can you treat me, can you help me? But it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing for all of us to learn.
yeah. It's funny how the parents become believers as soon as they get healed. Like now, my mum threatens to tell Les when I'm not giving her healing on one day. She goes, I'm going to tell Les that you didn't heal me. And I'm like, Mum, I will heal you. You just need to wait an extra day, then I'll heal you.
I know, it's
They go
funny.
to expect it, don't they?
Yeah. But
Um,
my dad was always, my dad was obviously open. He went to see Les and he got these incredible results. But, my mum and my brother, that was a different story. Especially my brother, real sort of alpha male kind of rugby player. He would have, poke a bit of fun at me when I got into all this. But, then we helped him with certain conditions, and now, he does his meditation and he asks for help. And my mum ended up being a student of mine, would you believe? So she ended up in one of my classes. So I was, but I always say to everyone who learns it, don't push this on anyone, but
mm.
just you work on yourself, you help people, and if people want to come and learn it, then that's fine. But people will be watching you, and I think my family were watching me, and they could see the changes, and then maybe they wanted a piece of that.
Completely. And I love the fact that your brothers come along as well. Boys are different, aren't they? Because they're grown up to be kind of macho and stuff, and they look at that stuff and they go, I'm not sure it's for me. I did healing on my brother the other day. He had sciatica, and when I told him I was going to do healing, he started to make fun of me. A few minutes later, he was like, "What have you done to me? The pain stopped. What did you do?" I was like, "I just did what I told you I was going to do in the first place, pranic healing." It's
I know, it's funny. And that's the other, good thing to point out to people. And Les says this very often, it's not a belief system. It's a science, it's a
yes, it's fine.
technology.
Yes.
You might not understand it, you might not believe it, but actually it really, 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 really will work. And even if people are skeptical, it will still work, because it's a science. It's based on principles and mechanisms, techniques, application. It's procedural. So, you change the energy blueprint, you change, the body will heal. Doesn't matter if you believe it, it doesn't matter.
So to take me back to your first session, obviously you're thinking he's not going to touch me, but I trust my friend. When you got there, what were your thoughts?
I thought, who is this? Who is this guy? I mean, I don't know. I mean, my head was all over the place, Victoria. I can't, I can't even remember the session too well. I
Yeah,
just remember being blown away by the results. After the first session, I started to feel calm, more relaxed. The next day I woke up, I wanted to get out of bed. And then, obviously I had the results with the eating disorder. And I thought I kept sort of almost looking for it to happen, looking for
yeah.
the triggers, but it just wasn't there. And yeah, that was incredible for me.
I love that. So now you are teaching other people and you're going through courses. Now, I know that you teach level one. You also host meditation, God, meditation on Twin
Twin.
Hearts online. And then you also talked about that you started to do relationship healing.
Yeah, so as part of the school and part of the teaching, so there's some fantastic seminars. So we always, if you're not ready to do the level one course, which is a 2-day course, then come along to a seminar, which covers a broad host of topics, but also gives you an understanding about energy and an understanding about the School of Pranic Healing. One of my favorites is the relationship healing workshop. So it's a 2-hour seminar. And you learn, again, it's all practical skills. You learn techniques, how to heal the most challenging of relationships, whether it's in your personal life, your
Right.
professional life, or with yourself. So yeah, I'll be running. I've got two upcoming. So next week on Wednesday, I've got one running in Abingdon in Oxfordshire, lunchtime, 12 till 2. And then in November, the end of November, I've got one in Bourne End in Buckinghamshire. So yeah, come along and learn how to alleviate the alleviate some of those pesky relationships. Yeah,
All
yeah.
the stress. And how can people book? Do they book on the door or do they, is there a link for them to book?
Yeah, the best thing is to go to ukpranichealing.co.uk
Okay.
and then look under seminars, or you can search my name, Tara Mehmet.
Fantastic. We'll put
Yeah.
the link at the bottom of this so that people can go in and access it straight away. If you see it on any of the social media platforms, I will attach the link onto it so you can book it straight away and go and experience this incredible seminar with Tara. Now, how is it like teaching level one? Because as we know, Les normally teaches everything. And then the instructors have started to teach level one. What's that experience like for you as an instructor and your students? Like what changes do you see in your students?
I just love teaching the level one because it is like opening, for most people, it's like opening up into a completely new world of possibilities. Um, But what's so wonderful is that, and what I love about pranic healing, it's that everything is systematic, everything's explained. So, we call it the science of energy. It's the science, really understanding the science of energy. So you're never told to do something without being told why, the reason why. And so, even after this 2-day course, which really touches on all aspects of the school. So, predominantly with a level one pranic healing course, you're learning how to heal common conditions, physical conditions. However, as you know, Victoria, the school covers every single aspect of life, from your relationships to your finances to your spirituality, psychological healing, physical healing. So it just covers so much. And actually, that level one touches on nearly every aspect of the school. Um, and it just gives you that sort of entry point, or that taster. But also, what's so wonderful about the level one is that, it's not just me lecturing, it's
Mm,
practical. So you're healing one another, you're partnering up. Some people will turn up and they've got an ache or a pain or a condition, and then by day two, they can't believe it is gone because, they've been having the
yeah,
healing throughout the time. Um, and people have different experiences. You learn to feel energy, see energy. And a lot of people do, they start to really get sensitive to what's beyond the physical. Um, However, some people might not, and they can still get the results through the healing. So it's a very, I'm very humbled to be able to instruct it, to teach it. Um, and also afterwards, I love hearing from the students, because a lot of them, they might contact me with their wins and their results afterwards. And literally, after that 2-day course, if you apply it immediately, you can get the most incredible results. One student called me the other day after a class, and she said, "Well, she said, my husband, he suffered from insomnia for, over 10 years, never, always had broken sleep. And I did the insomnia protocol, and he slept for 8 hours straight, didn't wake up. And then, of course, she, she was disbelieved. She said, well, it couldn't have been me. And I said, what, coincidence after 10 years of having broken sleep. So, it's wonderful to see the results
I love
of
it.
new students.
I love it. So you can see the passion in your eyes, in your face. Like as soon as you start talking about pranic healing, you completely light up. If there was one word for how pranic healing has transformed your life, what would it be?
I don't know if there is one word. It has been enlightening.
Yeah,
Enlightening.
yeah.
One
It's almost
word.
like I can feel your heart as you talk about it and stuff. It's almost like every time you think about it, your heart just expands.
Yeah, I mean, it just has been so life-changing for me.
Mm,
And and so and just such a gift to all of
mm,
us.
mm.
Honestly, I'm not just because I do it. It just is such a gift for us to have something so effective, simple, practical. You don't have to, it's so easy. And I think the potency of these teachings are in the simplicity. And so many people are searching for stuff, and they, almost sometimes people think it's too simple.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you experience that? They think it's too simple. But I always say, a lot of people do pranic healing, but who really practices it? If you really
Mm,
practice it, then you'll get the results, and then you'll master it, and then you'll realize how priceless the teachings are.
yeah,
Because, so many people know so much stuff, there's so much knowledge out there, or so you can have so much knowledge, but unless you're unless there's techniques within that knowledge that are being applied, nothing really changes in your life. So, you really do need to master something, and to make it impact your life. You need to understand it, memorize it, practice it, and then you'll
yeah.
get the results. But this for me, and I've studied many things, this for me is the quickest fix. It's still not, instant, but it's a quick way to really help yourself and those around you.
I love that. I love what you've talked about mastering it. You say everybody can do this, pranic healing, but to be able to master it, to put everything into practice. And I believe that that's what you've managed to achieve over these years is that you've taken the teachings and you've applied them continuously, which is why it's so easy to see it reflecting through you because you're walking the walk and talking the talk and as a result, your students are experiencing that as well. And I, for one, just want to say thank you so much because every Monday at 7 o'clock in the morning, you lead the meditations and it can't be easy. I'm sure there's mornings when you don't want to wake up, you know what I mean, and stuff, and you're there, you're doing it. So thank you ever so much. Now, as we wrap up, I always ask the pranic healers if they had one word to say to Master Cho Koksui, what would it be?
Oh, thank you.
And if you had one word to say to Les,
Thank you again.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
The
thank you.
gratitude is immense. And final words from yourself. What else would you like us to know about pranic healing that we've not touched on today?
I think if you're not ready to do the level 1 course, then just check out the meditations, the online meditations. So I do a Monday morning, but that is for pranic healers. But for the public, I run a Friday lunchtime, so 12 till 12:30. And the meditation on Twin Hearts is such a simple, guided, powerful meditation that meditation alone, if you practice it, will start to change your life. It will help you to relieve stress, anxiety, help you to just feel more at peace, more relaxed. It improves your immune system, improves your cognitive function. And that aside, it also is a form of world service because you're blessing the earth and you're sending energy to the earth. So, check out the meditation I run on the Friday. Also, Les does an incredible meditation and group healing every other Wednesday evening. So again, these are all free, they're donation. So just try it because there is so much more for all of us to learn, but it's only through your
Mm.
experience that you really, gain the truths and understandings of things. So if you're struggling with your life, then there are solutions, but, maybe try the Twin Hearts first of all. If you struggle with eating disorders or eating problems and food problems, which many people do, obviously I've been helped with the treatment, but Les will be running an online course in January called Food Freedom, which is 2 hours on a Thursday every evening. And again, he'll do some healing. It's not a, diet program. It's about understanding your triggers and getting rid of those. And it's a really in-depth course and it'll be brilliant. So go and check that out as well. And then, yeah, just get in touch and try it out. Go and look online, look at where the healers are, look at where the meditation groups are, and come and join in because it's really a great opportunity for people to heal and help themselves.
Thank you so much for coming in. It's been beautiful. It's always nice to get to speak to people because when we're in class, we don't get a chance to speak as much. So these conversations are an enlightenment for me as well as the audience as well. So really appreciate it. Namaste. Thank you so much.
Have a namaste. Thank you, Victoria.